Progressive Los Angeles District Attorney offering free shuttle service so staff can get to work safely. Staff won't be assaulted on their way into the office. The office which metes out justice for the community, which is clearly failing if you need to have free shuttle service. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. We had this go on in Seattle because our King County courthouse was right next to this famous park that was just overrun with drug dealers and drug addicts and just homeless people and, people on drugs and just open air selling of you name it. It was there and people just peed on everything. So King County courthouse got to a point where they literally, they had guards walk you to your car, whether it was the ferry, because that's not far away, your car in a parking garage, walk you to the bus station. You'd have little groups of people that would go. It was so dangerous. And that is our King County courthouse. It's the courthouse for the entire county. Probably one of the most unsafe locations in all of the town. It's interesting, right? District Attorney, LA District Attorney. Yeah, you can get a free shuttle service because things are not looking good out there. I wonder why there's so much crime going on. Who's responsible for these people being in jail? And they are, yeah. Hey, if you haven't already, love to have you subscribe. Love to have you be a subscriber to this channel. Hit that like button. And the best thing you can do, because there's some entities that don't want these stories to get out, share the content. Share it to your friends, family, whomever you think might enjoy hearing this. Thank you so much in advance. Appreciate it much. All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's see what the deal is. The move comes as Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon faces criticism that he had failed to adequately prosecute crime. That's the bottom line here, isn't it? A lot of these district attorneys, you know what they've done? Not very much. Cops bring cases and then the district attorney claims, well, we don't have enough information. And they're not basically prosecuting people for criminal activities. So those folks know that the world is their oyster. They can go out there and just do their thing day in and day out. There's going to be no, roadblock. There's going to be no slowdown of a little bit of time in jail. Just not happening. Only for the worst of the crimes, right? So if you steal a few $100 worth of stuff, it's okay. It's all good. We know you're a good person. Come back and steal from us again. Here's your hall pass, out of jail card, right? So, and even if they do prosecute some of these folks, the judges are basically just on board with tiny little minor offenses. It takes a bunch to get, put in jail for a while. Some of these criminals come in with 70, 80, criminal activities on their record. And you're like, how in the world can you let these folks out? These people need to be locked up. Lock them up, put them away, get them off the streets. But we're not doing that because that's deemed to just not be the way that we're doing things in these really progressive, cities that have had so much progress that the streets are not safe. Need a, security escort to get from your place of work, which happens to be where all this, prosecution of criminal activity goes on. Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office began a program this week to shuttle employees between their cars and workplaces in downtown LA amid a series of incidents in which some have been confronted by the public, officials said Thursday. On Monday, the District Attorney's Office launched the Employee Secure Transport and Escort program. Hey, we got escorts too. County's going to be providing escorts. That's wonderful. That's really good. You know what I mean? All right. And it's referred to as the E-step. We got the E-step going on. You can get yourself an escort. Oh, and you get secure transport. Not as exciting, but in an effort to provide free secure transportation for employees assigned to the Civic Center area, which has been overrun with hooligans and shenanigans and those addicted to drugs. And from that standpoint, don't want to be involved with the justice system there because you might get killed. You might get assaulted. You might get, whatever it is happen to you. So literally, so security incidents involving aggressive confrontations initiated by members of the public. All right, let's be clear. These are drug addicts, wildly addicted to some fentanyl-based drug or meth or whatever it is, that don't want help, that want to continue living on the streets, and the city of LA just gives them whatever they need to continue their lifestyle. Those are the members of the public we're talking about here, but we're just not coming out and saying it. Because if it was normal members of the public, wouldn't be an issue. You wouldn't need a security detail to get from your job at the courthouse to your car, or your job at the courthouse to your bus station. You wouldn't need that, would you? No, because members of the normal public, yeah, they're going to work too. They're getting picked up from their job too. Everybody's just trying to make it home safely. And yet in these cities where we've had a lot of progress, very progressive, not working out that way, is it? So we've got members of the public have occurred to our employees assigned in the Civic Center area while walking between their vehicles or transportation area and the office. So they're just trying to do their job, and they're being assaulted consistently enough where leadership realizes, oh, hey, yeah, our crew might get impacted. Maybe we need to run a little interference and have a shuttle take them to where they need to go because of safety issues. That's wild. That's safety issues. The program will be run by the District Attorney's Bureau of Investigation and will be in effect until permanent transportation services are secured. What about just making your street safe? What about that? What about getting those wildly addicted to drugs into some kind of help? And if not, if they choose not to do that, maybe they've got mental issues that they need to get care for. I'm all for that. Whatever treatment it is that, you want to put these folks in, which they desperately need, because leaving them to run the streets of LA. I don't know if you've seen any footage of Skid Row. It's just one endless party. I mean, that's all they're doing there. Nobody's working. It's just this utter crazy scene. And then we wonder why things aren't just all that safe in the surrounding areas. How come it's not safe? Why isn't it safe? That's weird, isn't it? Yeah. The shuttle service will use centralized pickup and drop-off points at the Hall of Justice at the Civic Center to connect passengers to Union Station and a parking lot in Chinatown. Employees who sign up for the service will be transported in a 7-passenger minivan. Hey, that's great. That's awesome. I mean, nothing says we care about you as an employee than a 7-passenger minivan. Okay. All right. Sworn personnel with the Bureau of Investigation will work in 2 shifts for each day of the work week, 6:20 a.m. to 8:20 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. The shuttle will stop at each location every 20 minutes. So whenever I see this stuff, I'm like, stop spending all the money on this other crap. Address the real problem. You got a bunch of psycho nut jobs running the streets that shouldn't be there. You need to get them off the streets. Oh, no, it's LA. They're going to keep running the streets for as long as they want. Just because that's how progress works. Progressive. Oh, yeah. So progressive. So progressive that, you get to sit your ass in a minivan at 6:20 a.m. just to get your rear end to work without it being attacked by members of the public. Transportation service announcement comes as District Attorney George Gascon faces mounting criticism that he has failed to prosecute crime. I would say that is some accurate criticism, right? One of my podcasts yesterday was pretty entertaining. It was on I think it was a city council member in San Francisco. And back in the George Floyd days, summer of 2020, they had done, pretty good sized post on Twitter talking about how, hey, defunding the police is the greatest thing ever. It's going to solve all of our society's, evils. And this is the way we really need to go. We take money from the police department, put it into, social services, because that's always worked out well. I mean, this is just the wave of the future. That's what they were saying, June of 2020. Well, fast forward to March of 2023, and she is same person, same tweet still out there. She's absolutely bitching at council members, chief of police in San Francisco over the fact that her community, the Mission, doesn't have enough police to keep it safe, and that the shopping district seems to get all of the overtime because of all those dash and grab, break-ins to Louis Vuitton stores and whatnot. Remember when we had a whole bunch of those, probably within the last year? Was that the spring of 2022? I think it was. We had all those crazy dash and grabs. We had some of those here in Bellevue too, but only because we've got stores that have just like Louis Vuitton. What's up with that? I mean, maybe you've got a handful of pieces of Louis Vuitton, but to me, it's really fancy stuff that I can't use hard. And all of my stuff ends up getting broken or used. None of my stuff is, let's just put that on the shelf and we'll keep that in really nice condition. I don't really have stuff like that. I treat all my stuff like tools because most of the stuff in my life is a tool. I keep good track of my tools and, they're sharp and all that stuff. But, you got a handbag worth $2,500. Got a little backpack. You got one of those little round, tiny backpacks. You know what I'm talking about? That the young ladies wear that's like $2,500. Hey, you dash and grab those and hey, you got drugs for days, not months, days. And so, this councilwoman is just absolutely grinding on the chief of police. And yet, just a few years ago, she was like, defund the police, greatest concept ever. It'll all work out. This is the best thing for everybody involved. And now her constituents in the Mission in San Francisco, are having some bad things happen to them. And a lot of it's because you don't have the bandwidth of officers to provide that public safety to everybody all the time. And that's the same thing we've got here. You don't have the ability to provide public safety to everybody all the time. And in LA and in San Francisco and in areas of downtown Seattle, the Blade in downtown Seattle, Pike and Pine on 3rd Avenue, I mean, that has had some criminal activity on it to the point where Seattle Police Department put one of those mobile stations there with, 6 cops rotating in and out. You can flood an area for a little while with cops, but eventually if you back the numbers off of those cops off of an area, guess what's going to happen? Yeah, it's going to go back to the criminal activity pattern that you had before, right? Right? So, we don't want to ever address the real issues here, which are you are letting criminals just run these streets willy-nilly. We don't have enough bandwidth to crack down on the open air drug markets. We're not doing that because that's not progressive. That doesn't look good. Can't have that. You can't actually arrest folks and put them in jail. No way. No way. You can't do that. I mean, there's no sense of progress in that. Or is there? Yeah. Wouldn't you just love to see that? Just how about in El Salvador, open up those prisons. We're going to take 2,000 of our worst drug dealers and gang members. You guys are all going into prison together. And it's just what we're doing. We're going to overcrowd you. We're going to make it miserable. And most of you guys are not going to get let out. Wouldn't you like to see that happen in some of these areas? Just see how that goes. All right. We're going to round up 3,000 of you. Yeah. Your civil rights, not so much, because you've infringed on the civil rights of the other tax-paying citizens for so long that this is a little bit of pushback. We're going to throw you in jail. We're going to let you dry out in jail. We're just going to see how this goes. I mean, that to me would be progress. But we're not headed that way. And then we're not headed that way anytime soon, right? So expect much of the same in LA, as in a Philadelphia, as in a San Francisco, Seattle, Portland. The list just goes on. Yeah. The transportation service announcement comes as District Attorney George Gascon faces mounting criticism that he has failed to prosecute crime. Some might say that is very accurate. It is unprecedented in the 173-year history of the LA District Attorney's Office that employees need to be escorted to and from their cars to protect them from random violent attacks. John McKinney, prosecutor with the DA's office who was running to unseat Gascon in 2024, told Fox News Digital in a statement. 173 years. 173 years they've never had to do this. I find that incredible. This is what happens when you've got these knuckleheads that, are put in place or supported, put in place, and they just simply don't do their job. They simply don't do their job. But, folks that vote these kind of measures in and these kind of district attorneys in and the judges in, I think they want anarchy. I think they want things just wildly out of control. And so if the city officials have to do a thing where, all right, yeah, we don't want to have anybody get maimed and or killed on their way to and from the courthouse. Therefore, let's give them a little escorted shuttle. Let's do that. Yeah. I mean, it's Band-Aids, right? This is an enormous set of Band-Aids that we're doing because we're not dealing with the root issues of the problem, which are get the knuckleheads off the street that are wildly addicted to drugs that you've allowed to live just willy-nilly wherever, that are committing all the criminal activity, that are, they're impacting these citizens that we're literally talking about. The people in the district attorney's office, they're impacting those tax-paying members of the working community. The move comes as Los Angeles residents have fled public transportation as drug use and violence skyrocket. Talk about the loop. We talk about there is an urban loop happening, and it is as more people leave the downtown core, that leaves fewer businesses, fewer big businesses, big corporate. You've got fewer small businesses. And so your tax base shrinks. So then you've got fewer dollars to put in to your transportation system to get people from the suburbs to the downtown core. Fewer people come, less tax dollars, more businesses fail. You've got this unending loop that is happening right now. Because with the pandemic, all that did was basically squirt a whole lot of gasoline onto a small fire. And now you've got that fire raging. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. It's just not. You've got the momentum going for the homeless and the drug addicted and all this other stuff. My thoughts also go out to the millions of Los Angelinos who have to travel about the county of Los Angeles without the same protection. So if you got to go to a court date, good luck with that. I hope you're bringing protection. You're going to have to, you can't bring it into the courthouse, but leave that sword outside with your name on it, and people will know that that's your sword, and they'll just leave it there. Especially the homeless. They don't, homeless love swords, don't they? They just love swords. So yeah, what about the regular people that got to go to court, that don't have an escort, that don't have a shuttle, all that stuff? Yeah, they're just left out to dry. They're just left out to dry. We don't even see any business people anymore. We don't see anybody going to Universal. It's just people who have no other choice than to ride the system, homeless people and drug users. One identified metro train operator told the Los Angeles Times. In Seattle, our public health officials told us that, hey, it's okay for the fentanyl users to be smoking on King County Metro buses because, there's been no studies that have really proven that secondhand fentanyl smoke or even firsthand fentanyl smoke, long-term basis exposure. There's no studies that really support that. It's fine. Go ahead, get on King County Metro bus. It's going to be okay. You might be sitting right next to some crackhead that's lighting up some fentanyl meth, but it's okay. I mean, because we want our drug users in the city of Seattle to do drugs in the presence of other people. So when they overdose, you can help them. That's literally video I played on a podcast on that topic. Yeah. King County health officials said it's better for the drug addicts to do all their drugs in front of other people. Why don't they just go to the park? Hey, maybe on Sunday morning, they could all just go in a big group and do it in the middle of a church service. Church Sunday. I mean, that seems reasonable, right? No, people on drugs should not be hanging out with other people not on drugs, not in the same mindset, right? Not in the same mindset. They don't have that same vibe going on. One are tax-paying, law-abiding citizens for the most part. The others just wildly out of control. But King County supports the wildly out of control. LA supports the wildly out of control. Portland sure supports the wildly out of control. San Francisco 100% supports the wildly out of control. So we're giving up these Mickey Mouse solutions, these Band-Aid approaches to all of these things, when in fact, if we just started to, drop the hammer on drug addiction and, living willy-nilly wherever, I think you'd get somewhere. I think you'd get somewhere quick. You might have to throw some people in jail. Oh my gosh. No, don't do that. It's going to, ruin the reputation of progress if you put people in jail. And I'm not saying put people in jail willy-nilly. I'm just saying, hey, if people don't want to go into treatment, people don't want to go into some kind of housing that they're going to be required to actually work on themselves. I, as the taxpayer, don't want to pay for that unless there's some kind of conditions on them actually getting the help that they need. That to me seems reasonable. But none of these approaches that we talk about ever really bring about the whole factor of, what about accountability? Hey, you get housing if you're sober. What about that? You get housing if you have a job. You have to kick in for your housing. How about that? How about that? Yeah. We're just not going down those roads because so much progress is being made in the meantime in these cities that why would we want to stop, all this momentum for happening? Why would we want to do that? I mean, things are good, right? In LA and Skid Row, they're good. They're good on the Blade in Seattle. They're good in South Seattle. Right now here in Seattle, we've got a whole bunch of encampments, some really massively large chop shop type encampments where some horrific things have been happening. People are getting shot. Women are being assaulted. I mean, it's just standard run of the mill stuff. But when you don't shut down these encampments and they're allowed to go on for months and months and months, they tend to grow like mushrooms because why wouldn't they? So here in LA, you've got much of the same. You got a situation where they know it's not safe. Let's just give you a little safety shuttle. Give you a little safety shuttle. It'll all be good. I mean, you want to run. You probably want to sprint from the front door of your office into the bus. Yeah. You want to live like that? You want to live like a rat in a cage? I don't. No, thank you. Hard no-go. Transit officials have responded to the spikes in crime by pledging $122 million to a program in the last year to deploy 300 ambassadors to public transportation. The ambassadors are unarmed and report crimes while also assisting some passengers. More Band-Aid approaches. You've still got the riffraff. You've got the shenanigans going on by the addicts out in the street. That's what you need to focus on. Mentally insane folks that need to be someplace where they can have somebody check on their meds and check to see that they're okay, because they're not okay to do that on their own. Not okay to do that on their own. But it's not happening for a lot of these folks. And, after 30, 40 years of dumping all these people from institutions, which we felt were probably taking advantage of a lot of mentally challenged people and physically challenged people, after decades of just putting those people out in the streets, how's that working out? Man, I saw a video from Portland PDX, I think it was, or PDX Reel. There's a bunch of Instagram and YouTube channels that just focus on reels, short videos, a minute or less in like a Portland. One of the Portland videos I saw the other day, if you didn't know that this dude was a human being, because of the way he was talking and moving, you would swear that he's an alien, right? An alien zombie, I think I'd go with. The guy was I sent it to one of my cousins. My cousin sent it back and said, "What was that guy on?" And I'm like, yeah, seriously, right? You got some people that are walking zombies out there, and we just keep, throwing some Band-Aid approaches on and, considering it all good. It's all good. It's fine. These people, they'll go to treatment when they're good and ready. They're just not ready yet. We'll give them some more time. I'm sure they'll come around. They'll come around, and it'll all work out. Don't think so. Ain't happening. Which, I always say it's fine for me because I got podcasts for days. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.